a really quick turnaround here with this stretch. In some ways, it's almost like playing a tournament with Wednesday, Saturday, Monday games here. So they're coming at us, really quality teams that will need to be ready to play, and teams that are going to present a lot of challenges. Obviously, Northwestern is, I think, as hard to play as anybody in the country because of how well they execute. They are just, Chris does a phenomenal job putting the defenses in really difficult position. They've obviously got really good players and talented kids, and they make you be really, really highly detailed and play at an optimal level. I'm sure that'll be the case tomorrow night. That's going to be demanded of us. It's going to tax our defense as much as any team we've played against all year. So it's a lot to obviously a lot to prepare for. As much as they run and as effectively as they run their half-court offense, and as good players as they have. So we'll need to be ready to go.
Chris, when you have Wednesday, Saturday, Monday games, and there's travel involved for all of them too, or I guess not the Monday games, but what's the schedule like? Are you only going to be able to practice twice for 3 games or once for 3 games?
Yeah, it's going to be limited. We'll come back on Thursday and have a light. We'll get a feel for how our guys' bodies are, but it'll be typically lighter. And then Friday it'll be a little bit heavier in terms of our practice, but you're not keeping your guys. They haven't had a day off in a while, so you're not keeping them. You're not keeping them for a long time. And then obviously it's really unique with the Saturday, Monday, one-day prep for a very good Nebraska team. So hopefully we'll be able to gain a lot of energy from Buckeye Nation on that Monday game. But yeah, it's an abbreviated time. You're not able to do a whole lot. That's true for, I'm sure, everybody goes through these kind of stretches in league play, and that's why when you do have the practice time, you need to make the most of it. Hopefully we will.
Is this kind of your time of year where you start to see maybe the younger guys hitting a little bit of a wall, and then does the schedule right now make that a little more challenging, where you're trying to find time off and they're also playing more games than they can typically play? Yeah,
I think for guys that have probably logged a lot of minutes, and I think for the most case all of our guys have all of our young guys have played in almost every game and been a big part of what we're doing. So yeah, it's a long season for them, long season for anybody, but you do typically see that with young guys who just, they're playing. This is almost like a high school season right now. So we'll see how they respond. We'll obviously keep an eye on all of our young guys, but in particular our 3 freshmen.
You mentioned Northwestern. Obviously a tournament game last year. When you watch them on tape, why have maybe they struggled, at least in terms of their record? What have you seen that maybe isn't clicking for them right now?
I'm not sure, because I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, we played them last year, but I just wouldn't say I'm familiar enough with maybe both teams and comparing both teams. I do feel like that they have the potential, as a lot of I really believe there's about a lot of teams in our league that they have the potential to go on a major run. Chris does a great job, and they have the talent to do that, the pieces to do that, and I just got a lot of respect for how they do things. So, I have trouble enough diagnosing our issues, so I just try to stay away from diagnosing anybody else's.
Their point guard McIntosh has been around a while. What problems does it create for your team going up against a veteran point guard like him?
Great passer. McIntosh is a great passer, great vision, really good size for the position, doesn't turn it over, hard to speed him up. He's got a great pace to his game. Again, the places Chris puts him and utilizes him make it very difficult. And he's just a big veteran guard. He can make shots. He's great making plays in kind of the mid-range too. floater, mid-range, kind of reversing his course and using a shot fake. He can be really effective. But Lindsey and Law are really good too, you know, and they just, any one of those three can get you. And I really like the Pardon kid inside too. I've liked him since high school. So obviously, there's a reason why they had, you know, some of the preseason thoughts, and like I said, I think they're very capable of going on an extended run.
I think pretty much every time we've talked to you since the start of Big Ten play, you've brought up, you know, we're going to hit some bumps here, and
Yeah.
whatnot. But you haven't. And I know there's still a lot of games to be played and whatnot, but does this surprise you? I mean, are you, given, you know, having to go on the road last week and whatnot, are you surprised that you guys have not struggled a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, any coach that would, you know, through a third of the season not have, you know, have went undefeated would have to say they're surprised, unless you're talking about an elite. You know, maybe if you're Kansas or Duke, maybe you say that. You wouldn't say that, but sure, I think there is an element of surprise. As much as possible, though, we just, you know, I think our guys realize how hard league play is, and I think, you know, we're not trying to project anything about getting knocked around. We're just trying to be realistic, and,
Right.
and the reality is through the course of a game and through the course of a league play that does happen. And I think our guys understand if we are not really well connected on both ends, both at home and on the road, we're going to have a long night. I just think fortunately we've had our really good play. Our team in general has played well, and our really good players have led the way with that, both at home and on the road.
Speaking of that, Cade started a little slow the last two games. When you see him miss the first few shots, I mean, do you get a little nervous? I mean, obviously he's been such a big part of your offense.
Yeah, you know, I think it's probably unrealistic to expect this type of offensive efficiency to continue for him, even as great of a player as he is. You know, I think that just like, you know, we're going to get, he's going to get everybody's best shot, right, given what he's done up to this point. And I think whether that's going to come in physical play or in teams really scheming against him, I didn't, you know, I don't really get super nervous, because I just want him to stay, you know, we're going to hopefully put him in enough good positions to get open looks, and he just needs to take what the defense gives him. There may be a time or two in games moving forward where he's got to be a little bit more of a facilitator in some ways, because of how much attention he's going to get. I'm not sure. He'll have to read the game, but so far up to this point, I don't feel like he's been aggressive without forcing a whole lot of stuff, which has been really good to see, and can be hard for a guy who scored it like he has.
And if he, you know, doesn't have it one night or gets in foul trouble or something, I mean, is there a plan B offensively? I mean, I know other guys have contributed, but not at that same level that he's been able to do. And I don't know if you're going to go into who or what, but...
Yeah, I think that would be spread out among a number of guys. We'd obviously have to be even better defensively, but his absence hurts you on the defensive end as much as anything. You know, I think we've got other capable guys for sure. It would just need to be spread out, whether that's we're throwing the ball inside, or you know, our perimeter guys are making plays, or you know, offensive rebounds. But obviously, when you pull 20 points out, it can be a factor. But we would need to be able to. Other guys would need to be able to step up, and I think that'd be spread across.
Actually, a lot about the turnover number, and it seemed to come down here. I think it's like 14% for Big Ten players, something like that. How much of that is cutting down on things like charges and traveling, as opposed to, like, I think guys are just going to throw a bad pass every now and then, but
Yeah.
cutting down on the other things, how much has that been a factor in bringing that number down?
Well, I think it's a big part of it. We finally cracked the under 100 in the turnover percentage rankings in the country of among 352 teams. I think we're 99th this morning, so we threw a little party in our offices celebrating that fact. Still got a long ways to go with that, but it's important for us to continue to improve our footwork, It's important for us to continue to understand, the right plays to make. And I think our guys have done that. There was a play the other night against Rutgers where it was kind of a scramble situation, and I thought CJ made a really nice play. He could have forced stuff up there, and he kind of let movement happen and then made this simple play, and it created an open look. And maybe those were plays that we weren't making earlier in the year. But I think they see the correlation between that and winning. You can't in league play give teams extra possessions, and that's important. Now the flip side of that is I would like for us to be a little bit more active in terms of forcing turnovers defensively, but that's been good, and hopefully it'll continue.
And then you mentioned on your radio show last night that maybe when Andrew's out there, there's some different fluidity with the offense, and it allows you to play CJ off the ball some. What's the balance you have to strike with? Maybe that is a good look for you guys to have both those guys out there, but then you don't have anything behind them really. Maybe you can play those guys too much together.
Yeah, that is the concern, is because who do we go to if you play those guys too much, or if one of them gets in foul trouble, then where do you go? You're right. I think I've thought about that. Andrew's ability just to kind of move the ball, and I think people know by now he can make open shots. He's such a willing ball mover, and for him it's not necessarily about getting the assist, although he's done a good job of that. It's just about passing and moving it. He pounds it a little bit too much at times, but he's just got such a willingness to get the ball moving. And he likes doing that, and it's really helped CJ. I think it's helped Kate, it's helped JT, it's helped all of our guys. It certainly helped our offense, our ball movement, not just with him, but with everybody. It's helped Cam, and hopefully that will continue. And again, I think it's kind of who he is. He connects things out there when he's out there.
I think we all thought that he would probably just always swap in and out for CJ when we looked at the roster before the season started. Is he taking some minutes from like Lusa and Cam at this point?
Well, we're playing him a little bit more. We're playing those guys together at the two a little bit, with the one and the two a little bit more. So, I guess whether you say taking minutes or not, we're playing those two guys together. So I haven't really calculated and seen who's losing minutes out on that scenario or not. Yeah, I think having two kind of point guards out there at one time has been good for our offense.
And you talked about slow starts to the halves and to games. Are you getting enough from your starters right now? We talk a lot about bench points and things like that. I know the starters are scoring, but the way that you guys have started halves, are you getting what you want from your starting group consistently?
I think it's from game to game. I think, last game we did. I felt like that. You're not always going to start the game. They want to win too, right? So you're not always going to start games, on an 8-0 run. I think, or start halves. I think that there are times where we were, I didn't love the approach, maybe coming out of the second half. And it was more honestly defensive approach. Obviously Iowa and Michigan State a little bit, but you can flip that to Michigan, and we were on fire coming out of the half. So I just think as much as possible we're trying to preach consistency when it comes to that. If it's something we talk about and need to talk about. But I like what this starting group is giving us right now. It's not to say it won't change. It could potentially change as the year goes on. I don't like to make a ton of changes at this point. But if it's if a guy's effort or we feel like it needs to happen, I'll do that.
Coach, you've been head coach of several ranked teams before. But a lot of the players on this Ohio State team have not been. Ohio State hasn't been ranked since 2015. Do you sort of notice a change in the mentality in the locker room among the players when they get ranked?
I haven't really, noticed a difference from, I guess, yesterday to the day prior. I hope that our guys feel confident in what we can be, but we didn't discuss national rankings and all those kind of things. We didn't discuss it at any point in the season, and I haven't really ever discussed it with the team that I've coached that's been nationally ranked, just because that's great for your fan base. It really is. But if I felt like it got us something at this point, outside of maybe some attention, I would probably be happier. But right now, we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we got to earn whatever we're going to get.
And then, given past experiences coaching a team that's ranked, do you notice that opponents play your team any differently? Come in with a different sort of mentality or enthusiasm taking on a top 25 team?
Sure. I think that's human nature. I think for any coach to kind of say otherwise is probably, it's just not realistic. I think probably there is an added energy in a lot of, maybe not in every team, but there can be an added energy. And I think our guys are going to need to be prepared and ready for that. And we'll see if we can handle that. Obviously, we've got a really full week ahead of us, but given where we're at, I think that's to be expected. We're going to get a lot of people's best shot.
This is along the lines of, I guess, a lot of things you're asking, but if people looked at this roster before the season, I think they would look at it and say, they don't have a point guard. And you seem to be kind of growing in confidence at that position now with the way that Andrew and CJ are playing. I guess, could you just explain a little bit the growth you've seen in that position in particular, and how confident you are now with those two guys kind of running the show for you?
Yeah, I feel really confident in those guys because they've done it now over a period of time, and I think I feel confident in. We have to continue to get better on both ends, but what those guys have also provided is pretty solid defense. And again, that's going to get challenged in these upcoming games, but pretty solid defense. So on both ends, I feel like we've been pretty effective at that position. And it's been really a key for our success. I think, guys, I just think it takes a lot of time for, a point guard to understand what we expect of them. That's true for any new coach. What I feel really grateful for is that we didn't take a few lumps earlier in the season as, they were trying to figure us out and we were trying to figure them out. Because that can clearly happen with a new coaching staff and new expectations, and we were able to play through some of those growing pains.
When you say take lumps, do you mean like losses, or do you
Yeah.
like personal? He's kind of annoyed at the way how hard you're coaching.
No, yeah, and perhaps they've been annoyed. I've been annoyed too, so there's been a common theme there. But no, I think losses. I'm saying I think that we've really got really good kids. CJ's a terrific young man, and so is Andrew at that point guard spot. So. Good players want to be coached, and again, we don't, it's been discussed that, we can challenge our guys, but by no means are we over the top. We're just, pretty direct, and the credit belongs to them for how they've played, and hopefully we can continue to get better at that position.
You guys are coming off a game in which you gave up a season-low 46 points to Rutgers, and with the Scarlet Knights shooting around 26% from two-point range, can you kind of talk, did the approach defensively change at all going into that game?
No, I think we've been, for the most part, pretty consistent in our defensive effort, and we have to be. We absolutely have to be, because if we're not, it's going to be a long night. So I don't think there was a difference in an approach. I think we've got it. That's kind of how good are you night in, night out. Now, I will say this. I think Rutgers missed some shots that when they come here, they also had one of their better offensive players out. So I think that factored in. I think when they come here, they'll probably make those shots. Some of that, it really sometimes boils down to teams just not making shots. And I think that was a little bit of the case in that game.
And then one of the things that it seemed like you just played bigger than Rutgers. Can you kind of talk about the impact of kind of the evolution of Caleb Weston down low and how he's kind of evolved in that defensive kind of unit?
Well, he's done a really good job for us in a lot of areas. We've got to continue to work with him on finishing better and being a little more efficient, which we've talked to him about. But just really pleased with his ability. One, he's a really smart kid, as is his brother, and they have a good feel for how to play the game. And I think he's been able to, understand staying out of foul trouble yet still being aggressive. I think he realizes that he's got a long ways to go, but he's improved in his defense. I think this is really going to be taxed on tomorrow night because of how much ball screen coverage is going to be involved in this game. But I've been really, pleased with his growth in that area, and he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Last one real quick.
You mentioned on your radio show last night with Caleb that you've been simplifying some things that have been on block and helping him at that. Has that helped him with some of the foul trouble, or has the foul trouble been more a product of maybe not as many ball screen situations?
Yeah, I think it's that, and then I think his adjustment. I would give him the credit and his position coach for kind of talking him through some of that and some of the, as much as anything, I think he's embraced the idea, like if you're playing in the post defensively, you got to do your work early. Like tomorrow against Derek Parton, he's going to have to do his work early and beat him to spots and be alert and aware. But I think that's probably been the reason as much as anything. He's going to have another game this year where he gets in foul trouble. That's normal. I think probably the other factor is, when you get in league play, it's a little more physical game anyway. But what I meant on the radio show is we're working towards trying to simplify things a little bit more offensively in the low post here in the coming weeks with him. He's got such great touch, and he's getting a lot of attention right now. We just need to work on simplifying some things.